go.
All right. Thank you for spending a couple minutes with me today. My name is Christian Sarver. I am a project manager here at National Bank, and I had the privilege, along with my group, of reviewing some of our processes here at the bank in an effort to kind of find where we can improve some processes, specifically as it relates to business lending. We had an opportunity to kind of deep dive through our entire business lending process and find out if there are areas where we can improve, increase the speed at which we get loans processed, and improve customer service overall. With that in mind, we did identify a couple of areas that we really can improve on. One specifically was our business owner-occupied commercial loan product. These are loans that are secured by business real estate. The problem with that, as we deep dive through that and reviewed the process, we found that we really were taking too long in comparison to other banks to get through the appraisal process. We used a couple of different analysis tools to get to that. We used KPIs, or key performance indicators. Those told us that we really were struggling to get that portion of the loan processed as quickly as it needed to be processed. We also did some root cause analysis. Again, the root cause analysis was done on the entire project, the entire loan process, and that's really what allowed us to drill down and find that we were struggling as it came to time to process the appraisal, from getting it ordered, getting it reviewed, and then getting all the documentation uploaded so that we could actually get the loan closed. With that in mind, we decided, okay, that's the process that we probably need to get changed. To make sure that we had buy-in and to understand who that affects, we sought out to establish who the stakeholders are in that group. The really three main stakeholders: customers, employees, and then management, both direct management and then executive management, the group that I'm working with today. Executive management, the importance for us in identifying this group was, we need your buy-in. We need your blessing to spend the money to improve this process so that we can process more loans and ultimately, drive greater shareholder value for employees as well as shareholders here in the bank. So that was the main group. And then management, we need management's buy-in. Below senior level management, we need your buy-in to ensure that we're successful, that this gets implemented, that across the enterprise that people are on board, and that we have the buy-in that we need to implement these changes. Employees obviously are stakeholders in this process, as they're the boots on the ground. They're the people that this is going to affect the most. So we have some employee groups that are going to need to make changes for this process to run more smoothly. Specifically, our loan originators, or the loan officers, those are the folks that are actually taking the application. We have our processors, those are the folks that are processing the application, and then our appraisal review department. So those are the kind of the three. And then the final stakeholder are truly our customers. So ensuring that we process loans quicker will drive a better customer experience, allow us to process more loans, again, giving that impression that we're the bank that can get the loan processed as quickly as possible. So that's that our customers should deal with. The improvement plan. So as we reviewed how we currently are processing appraisals, we found that there are three real main areas where we can make some changes. The first one is going to be to train our loan officers to actually order the appraisal. And in some cases, there was a lag in ordering. The processors were ordering the appraisal, but not for weeks after the actual application was taken. So if we cross-train our loan officers to actually go in the system and order those appraisals, we can get appraisals ordered at application, saving that 2-week period, which is truly important, as appraisals can take a couple of weeks to get done and then get reviewed. So with that in mind, we also sought to add appraisal companies. The bank currently utilizes one appraisal company. We'd like to add 2 other ones that would allow us to have a couple of different choices, so that if one appraisal company is too busy to get to our request as quickly as needed, we can move to that second or third appraisal company. Adding a couple of extra vendors will give us choices and decrease the workload for that one specific vendor, giving us the opportunity to get those appraisals back faster. So that was the second step. And then the third step was to add some employees in the review process. After the appraisal comes back from the appraiser, then we have to internally review it to make sure it's accurate and that we agree with the actual appraisal. We don't have enough bodies in that department. We need to add staff there. We found that loans are sometimes bogging down for a couple weeks in that appraisal review process. If we were to add some staff, specifically 3 employees by calculations, we should be able to get those loans approved, get that appraisal reviewed, and move through that process within a couple of days. So shrinking that time frame down by weeks. So moving our appraisal process from something that can take over 30 days to something that we can have done in a couple weeks or less if we implement these 3 specific changes. Timeline. So a project like this is going to take some time. So we broke it into three segments. The first segment is going to be basically present from now into the next 3 months. During that time frame, we really need to get buy-in from the management group and the managers. So get the blessing from you guys to go forward with this project, spend the money to add the staff, to cross-train our current employees, and then get this process on board. So that's really the first stage. Month 3 through 6 is probably the most critical step, and that's where we're going to train. We'll make the announcement. This will be done through a face-to-face meeting. We can get the entire lending group, processing group together and explain why we're changing this process, what the benefits will be, and then what we should expect to get that implemented. Following that message, then we'll have our actual training where we cross-train the loan officers to order appraisals, to be actively involved in that process. During that, we'll also be hiring those additional reviewers and training them on our review process. And then also we'll be looking for those extra vendors, those additional appraisal companies that we talked about. So that will be done all in that 3 to 6 month period. And after 6 months is really just the ongoing review for success, and then making adjustments as needed. So we'll review the data, be sure that our improvements have decreased processing times, and ultimately that we're able to process more loans, creating greater revenue and offsetting the cost that this program would incur. Communication methods. This is probably the most critical step in the whole process, is how do we communicate this to the various different stakeholders and different groups involved. Customers don't really need to be a part of that communication process other than us at the application time giving them some expectations of how long their loan should take. But really the communication needs to happen starting with you guys today, with the executive team here, getting you guys to understand the importance of this project, and then getting your blessing to move forward with it. Other communication that's critical is going to be communicating the changes to employees. This is probably the piece that has the most impact on the project, because we need buy-in from that group to implement these changes and make sure that they're done, they're followed through, and that this process is smooth, that we achieve the results we're looking for. Because of the importance of that group, we really are going to look to do the communication about these changes and what to expect in a face-to-face meeting. That's probably not the most cost-effective way or time-effective, but truly, because of the impact of announcing these changes, it needs to be done through a face-to-face meeting. So that's one of the ways that we'll communicate. The other communication will come through training, which will be done face-to-face, or through virtual WebEx type trainings based on need and availability. Some of that stuff may have to be done virtually. Again, that's all very impactful, so it needs to be done face-to-face or through WebEx so that we get the most out of that training, so that our employees, the people that are involved, are on board and ready to go with the new processes. The rest of the communication will come through email and phone. These are really going to be the follow-ups to find out how the process is working, find out if there's anything that we need to change, any improvements, and then obviously the ongoing measurement of the success of the program, the reduction in turn times, getting that information back to you guys, the senior management and management team, so that we can measure the success of these improvements. So those are really the critical areas of this improvement project. And I think ultimately, if we can get this implemented, we can reduce turn times. That appraisal process will remove that time frame down from over a month to a couple of weeks, shrinking the processing time from over 60 days to under 45 days, making us more competitive, allowing us to close more loans, and ultimately drive more shareholder return. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to getting this project started. Let me know if you have any questions.